Everyone knows what winter chill out is, so we're not going to go through some drawn-out intro. We're just going to jump straight into the news, and there's a lot of it.
Yes, and there's tons of it, like Dragster, the Wild Mouse, restaurants moving, restaurants closing, and a major section of the park being rethemed.
First on our news is the Matterhorn and Scrambler plots. For those who don't know, Matterhorn and Scrambler are moving to the brand new Boardwalk section of the park, leaving the areas by Corkscrew, which they used to occupy, completely empty. And you can see in these clips here that there is absolutely nothing going on there, just a fence around the area. And we actually got little to no news on what's going on here.
Yeah, I have no idea what they're going to be putting there.
They
Kind
did-
of weird to have such a big area that's open right in the middle of the park.
They did tell us the colors of Matterhorn and Scrambler and the locations of them. We'll get into that when we get into the Boardwalk section of the news. But other than that, there's nothing going on here. And also, the Town Hall refurbishment is pretty much canceled. They raffled off the main draw, which was the working, or what was supposed to be working, Steel Vengeance model.
Yeah, that thing is huge. I don't know whoever wins that, where they're going to possibly put that thing. It's like, it won't even fit in my garage.
But anyways, the project is done. They announced that last year it was held off, and now that they scrapped the main draw to it, pretty sure it's done.
Yeah.
First on our news is the Matterhorn and Scrambler plots. For those who don't know, Matterhorn and Scrambler are moving to the brand new Boardwalk section of the park, leaving the area.
Yeah, like the Mac Shack. Mac Shack is closing, and they did say you could find a mac and cheese somewhere else in the park. They never said where, but the Mac Shack store is closing.
Mac Shack was located right in the front of the park, replaced Pink's, I believe, in
I wonder if they're
2019.
bringing Pink's back.
Pink's was pretty good.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know.
also, another sad one that's closing is Chick-fil-A. That one's not because of foot traffic, because that's probably one of the most popular restaurants in the park.
Yeah.
It's because their contract ran out, which means Kings Islands is also going to be closing, and any other Cedar Fair park.
Yeah, their contract expired, and they didn't want to renew. They just rather keep it in-house, so another Cedar Point run restaurant will probably be taking its place, but they didn't give us any idea on what.
But we do know that Chick-fil-A is being worked on this summer and might be open later this year. They did not say that for Mac Shack. And the final one that is closing is the Dive-In, which I bet a lot of you don't even know where that is. It was right underneath Valraven's Dive Loop, over by Iron Dragon, and it's just a snack bar. Anyway, the sign is in the sign and animatronics shop, and the building is completely gone, and they actually never even told us about that in the presentation. It was just kind of gone. The final restaurant was actually just moved. The walking taco stand over by the Legacy Walk. The building is staying the same, and it's now going to be an alcoholic bar, but then all the walking taco services are being moved to Derby Dogs.
Is he going to Derby Dogs or next to Derby Dogs?
We are not sure on that, if there's going to be a new building next to Derby Dogs, but the way he worded it, it just seems like Derby Dogs will be selling walking tacos now.
Yeah, well, he said it made sense to have walking tacos next to Derby Dog, or with Derby Dogs.
Now we're getting into some of the bigger news. Probably the most shocking piece of information that we got was Forbidden Frontier, which was only 3 years old, that opened back in 2019, is closing.
Yep, he cited directly it was lack of participation, lack of foot traffic, and I'm kind of bummed about it because we went there a lot just to get. When it's really crowded, it's a great place to go to get food and drink without waiting in line, and they had that big jungle gym area.
I bet a lot of you didn't even know where this was located. This is on Adventure Island underneath Millennium Force.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to get those Millennium Force shots now.
It was kind of a long walk back there anyway, so not a lot of people even knew about it. So the people who did go back there is usually just to chill out for a little bit. Anyway, they did mention that they tried something new. It didn't work. Oh well.
So that's going to open up the books for a lot of speculation.
There's a lot of space back there that they can use for a brand new section. I wouldn't be surprised if they built a bridge across the river over to connect the park, basically cutting the park in half with a new path.
But can they put something in there? Something major?
I think there's enough space for maybe like a smaller, more compact coaster, or maybe even if they just get creative with a layout. Yeah. If not, they can easily put some flat rides in there.
I was kind of bummed. I don't know. I don't know if it's just going to be open to walk around or if they're going to completely close it off. But what are they going to put there? They put that boat thing in there where you pull, the rope bridge where you pulled their boat across the thing. That's gone. All those actors unemployed.
Which, if those people are still around, they might be in the parade, which could expand the parade a lot.
Yeah, he did say Cedar Point, speaking of the parade, that Cedar Point Nights was still around it, but I don't know if they're going to call it Nights. He said it was still here, but not.
It's a different, there's still going to be games and stuff, but down more by the hotel area. for Cedar Point Nights, but Cedar Point Nights isn't really as a standalone event anymore. It's more just there will be nighttime activities. All right, moving on to the Boardwalk rides and the building. We're going to start with the rides. Matterhorn and Atomic Scrambler, now known as, are still going to be both moving to that area. Matterhorn is receiving snowflakes, which was a big excitement.
Yeah, he
in
kept
the
saying
presentation.
it's got to be cold. We got to make it look cold.
So there are going to be snowflakes, and it's going to be a more purple, pinkish kind of color scheme.
Right.
And Atomic Scrambler, I can't remember the exact colors, but I think it was like a darker yellow and a green and maybe a lighter blue.
Yeah, they put up on the screen all the color schematics for all the each of the cars and the sign, and yeah, it was like greens and blues.
Also in the Boardwalk section on both sides of the Boardwalk, the old Cedar Point sign on Cleveland Road, which is the main road leading to Cedar Point, will be Boardwalk. It'll say Boardwalk on both of the entrances.
Yeah, and for those of you that are old enough to remember, it used to be, like you said, it was on the road, but now they're bringing it back to the Boardwalk, and when you see it, you could tell it's like it has a 60s feel to it. Like the sign looks like it's from the 60s, and it's an exact copy of what was out there a long, long time ago.
And we finally got word on what is actually going on in the Grand Pavilion. If we got word of it before, I was unaware, but there's going to be a main restaurant with a ton of good food. I can't remember a lot of the...
There was a lot of stuff, a lot of upscale food, like cut potatoes and seared chicken, with special sauces, all that fancy stuff.
It's going to be good, and there's 2 dining rooms on either side. That was like the clearer area that we filmed that I was confused on. I said it looked like a shop. It's 2 dining rooms on either side. And then the second story is going to have a drink bar. The far left seat is reserved for Tony Clark.
Yeah, that's what
he did mention that. And the other side of it is going to be a snack bar with like hot dogs, popcorn, those kind of snacks.
Each of the dining rooms has huge windows facing whatever direction you sit on.
One of those windows is a stained glass window from 1888.
Oh, yeah.
That was really hit home. And then there's going to be 3 patios, one facing the lake, one facing Gatekeeper, and one facing the rest of the park. I think what he means by that is towards the hotel.
That would be kind of cool, though.
Yeah, it will be different.
So
It'll be cool to look around.
The adults and us can get a beverage from the bar and then go stand on the patio and watch everyone running around in any direction we want. It is definitely a really cool building. It's huge when you see it in person. I couldn't believe how big it was.
You can see it from nearly everywhere in the park, like at least in the front half. Of course, you're not going to be able to see it.
We saw it down by Millennium.
We're going to jump into Wild Mouse now. The Zamperla, I forgot his name, Adam something, was there from Zamperla. He talked about how they wanted this Wild Mouse to be a unique ride. So instead of just incorporating switchback turns and a spinning train, they wanted to make a unique layout. Yeah. And also, the seats are going to be more accommodating for ADA.
Yeah, he made it especially clear that the train can open up, the door can open fully for ADA accessibility. So if you have an ADA guest, it's a lot easier to load and unload than any other train.
And also, it will be a constantly moving station like you see on the RMC Raptors. That way, it's not a slower load, because with the crowd Cedar Point gets, that's going to be necessary.
Yep, to help hourly rider rate.
And finally, Zamperla said that it is a free spin. So depending on the weight of the train, if that wasn't already clear, depending on the weight of the train and depending on the weather you're riding in, it will spin differently.
Yep. So you sit in different arrangements, put heavy people on the outside, or split them up, or put them on the right. You'll get a different ride every time. And he made it clear that that's one of the things they're proud of. And weather changes it too, but you'll get a different spin every time you ride it. Kind of looking forward. I wasn't really excited about this, but now I'm kind of looking forward to riding it a couple times just to see how cool it is.
And just some fun facts about Wild Mouse. There is the original Wildcat mascot on top of the lift hill from the old Wildcat roller coaster, and every train has a name. So you'll see on Maverick, where Maverick has like Bart and Bo and all those names. There is, of course, the cheese car, but then they have names themed to like a maze or a Wild Mouse chase. They have Ziggy, Zaggy, Iggy, Maisie, Chase, and then the odd one out is Larry, which they named after a maintenance team member. The trains for Wild Mouse also look very comfortable. It's 4-cross with very padded restraints.
Lots of room.
It's going to be a fun ride.
Comfortable ride.
All right, now moving on to the most anticipated piece of news for probably all of you, Top Thrill Dragster news. We didn't get any information specifically on Top Thrill Dragster. He did say he did show a slide of Top Thrill Dragster, but then skipped right past it, kind of teasing us.
Yeah.
But what was interesting and what got a lot of people speculating, the track right behind Dragster's original station of Iron Dragon, which is right near the path, that entire turn is removed on the ride, which they did the same thing for Yukon Striker at Canada's Wonderland when they added the underwater tunnel. They had to get rid of Vortex's track, which is interesting because when they speculated a backward spike enthusiast on Dragster, Iron Dragon's turn would need to be reworked to put footers in. And that seems to, or that's at least what people are speculating, is exactly what they're doing. Tony left it very vague and just said, for those wondering about Iron Dragon, we are working on it, and left it at that.
Yeah, it makes sense. That I'm really curious now that one piece was going exactly where.
And it's not just like a small piece either. It's a whole turn.
Yeah, it's a long section. It's like the length of 2 trains, I would say, right?
Probably.
So I don't know, maybe they're reworking the way to connect those 2 turns and getting it out of the way. Who knows?
Anyway, the rest of Dragster, besides the area that was covered from a fence, which is probably everything past the grandstands, you could see the entire concrete station and unload station are completely gone.
It looks completely different now.
It's a very large divot in the ground, and even the transfer tracks are gone, and that's just a huge hole of water, which I know Dragster was originally built over the lagoon. Also, the whole queue is gone and torn up, and all of the supports on the launch track are gone, and the track piece is, of course, gone, all the way up until where the cable was. The supports for the brake run are still there, up until probably about halfway, and then the top hat is, again, untouched. So, very interesting news on Dragster. Again, he didn't say anything about it, but with the removal of Iron Dragon's turn, if Iron Dragon ends up with a different turn, I would not be surprised if there was a backward spike.
Yeah, me too. We're gonna have to keep an eye on this throughout the summer.
It's definitely not just an LSM replacement or retheme. There's gonna be a new element.
We'll know by opening day if the Iron Dragon track is put back in exactly the same layout or if it's changed.
Well, even if it's not changed, like, they could have just removed that track just to put in footers.
All right.
That's a wrap for all of the winter chill out news. Hopefully this helped you.
Still no log flume news.
So still no log flume. Tony's working on it.
No new bathrooms.
If you guys want to see our full experience, go check out our vlog uploaded 2 days ago. Link in the description. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, and have a great rest of your day.